And a 1, 2, 3, 4. Do 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 do. All right, if you hear that, people, you know what time it is. It is time for the Entertainment Buddha Game of Thrones gurus to have another Game of Thrones centric Buddhacast. That's right, it's myself and Nick. We lost Keith due to a scheduling conflict, and he's trying to get in with his potential in-laws, if you know what I'm talking about. So we will miss Keith's presence on the podcast, but I believe Nick the Hershey Kiss and myself can round things out and really give you some great insights, reflections, and possibly some speculations about Game of Thrones Season 7, and of course, all the great stuff we saw in Season 6. So the season just wrapped this past Sunday with what I consider to be probably the greatest episode yet in the franchise. I don't know, Nick can comment on that in a little bit. It was the longest episode, it was the most watched. I think it had like 33 million viewers or a ridiculous number like that. But anyways, what a great season 6 was. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best because, as we discussed on the Halfway Point Game of Thrones cast, I've kind of known everything that has happened from seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this one, obviously, I didn't know it was happened because I didn't have the book. So I think that plays into my love of season 6, is I just didn't know anything that was going to happen, so every episode I was like, oh, shit, that was pretty great. But overall, season 6, pretty fantastic compared to 5 and 4. So that's what we're here to talk about. And like I said, if there's some time, maybe we'll give our thoughts of where we think the main threads will be headed when season 7 arrives. Oh, so long from now, probably next April. So Nick, how's it doing, buddy? Good to talk to you again. How did you enjoy the finale? Do you consider it to be the best episode ever, or is it up there in your top 3, 5, 10? What do you got?
It's definitely up there. I think after I've watched it twice so far. The initial viewing, I texted a bunch of people. I was like, did you just watch that? Like, what's going on? You know, the rumors and the theories immediately start flying as the episode ends. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, it was, you know, whatever, a little after 10 o'clock on the East Coast. I was like, how am I supposed to go to sleep after that? Like, I'm still jacked up from it. So I thought it was one of the best episodes. I'd have to go back and kind of rethink which ones, you know, are my favorite, but that one's definitely in top 3.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just some of the shit that they resolved, I mean, they resolved 5-year, 6-year-long plot threads,
right,
in the snap of a finger. I mean, that opening 25-minute sequence, which all took place in King's Landing, opened beautifully with that very silent opening and that piano ballad, and you're sitting there and you think you know what's going to happen, but the characters really know what's going to happen, and just fucking Cersei, man. Cersei.
She's brutal.
I love that lady. I love to hate her, but I love her. And, you know, we should all be ashamed of ourselves because the last time we were talking about some of the best game players out there, and I don't know if any of us mentioned Cersei, and quite frankly, she is one of the best game players. And her move Sunday night fucking proves it. She's one of the most ruthless motherfuckers, too.
Yeah, I mean, we spent the entire season with Cersei kind of being second fiddle.
Yeah, she was neutered. I honestly thought she was fucked.
Yeah. I mean, after I forget exactly which episode, but when her and Lady Olenna were going after each other after Tommen and Marjorie made the pact with the House Sparrow.
Yeah, great dialogue.
You know,
yep.
and Olenna is another one that up until that point you were like, she's great in this game, and then both of them just kind of fell to the wayside, so to speak, after what the Sparrow did with the King.
Yeah, I mean, Olenna, we'll talk about her, but yeah, she is a player too. But like you're saying, I mean, everyone kind of counted Cersei out, including myself. I mean, even reading the book version of her going to the Sept and being locked up, beaten, tortured, this, that, and the other thing, made to walk through the streets, I really thought that was it for her. I thought that would have crushed her, crippled her, so on and so forth. Again, the books, she didn't have Jaime to support her. I mean, the books, they're kind of at where I believe season 6 ended, where Jaime's like, okay, this fucking bitch scares me now. And he's like, I just want to be away from her. But anyways, I thought she was done. Like I said, neutered. The Sparrow had her son. Son got rid of trial by combat, so she was surely probably going to get the death penalty in her trial with the Seven. Over, right? Nope.
What does she do? She calls back to what her brother said about Mad King Ares and his plan to blow up the city, and he actually had all that wildfire already scattered throughout town. And sure as shit, if you call back, Nick, was 8 or 9 where Qyburn kind of said, I think it was 9, right after Tommen made the decree, and he basically says, yeah, by the way, all that shit's legit. I checked it out. More or less saying,
Right.
hey, yeah, that shit's there. Your plan's going to work. So she had been... Do you think she was planning the blow up all along, or you think it was her contingency if Tommen fully left her and went to the faith? So she had a backup plan.
Yeah, I think it started out as contingency, that she, you know, like you said, from Jaime, had heard that the king was like Mad King wanted to burn them all, but he didn't live long enough to actually do it.
Kingslayer, that's why he stabbed them.
Yeah, and you know, when Qyburn, however you say his name, when he told her that, you know, was whatever she was asking was much more than a rumor, I was like, what is it? What are they talking about? And then as time kind of grew on, you realize like, oh, it's probably the wildfire. And that was amazing.
When you were watching the episode, Nick, when did it hit you like, oh fuck, she's blown him up. She's blown up the Great Sept of Baelor.
Let's see, when was that? When she kept pouring wine, I was like, something's up with Cersei. She's dressed in black, which you've never seen her before. She's pouring wine, which she always does, but she seemed semi-happy about it.
Yes.
And then when the mountain was like, sorry, King Tommen, you're going to stay here, I was like, oh man, something big is going to happen at the Sept.
Yeah, see, I was with you. I knew it's Cersei. I mean, I don't know why I ever second-guessed her. Like I said, she really is one of the best game players. You remember Season 1 when she essentially calls out Ned Stark. She says, you either play the game or you die. And you know, obviously, Ned didn't play the game because of his honor. He's dead. Most of the Starks were dead. Most of anyone that didn't play with the Lannisters games are dead. And sure as shit, she made a lot of people dead. But when I knew her plan exactly is when Lancel was led down into the crypt underneath the Sept, and I saw the barrels, and I saw a green glow a bit, and I turned to my wife, I said, she's gonna fucking blow them all up. I was like, oh, this is fucking fantastic. She literally eliminated, like 5 or 6 main, you know, years-long characters in that. Marjorie, Loras, his fucking dad, Kevin Lannister was in there. I mean, the High Sparrow.
The High Sparrow got the worst of it, yeah.
I mean, she took out any and all of her enemies except for now, potentially Jaime. I really think in the end he's going to be a Queenslayer too now. I just have a feeling that's where Martin was going to take it. I think Jaime's going to be the one to take out his sister because she's obviously the Mad Queen. I mean, she's nuts. She's lost her kids. The Frog's prophecy is true. She has all the power in the world now and nothing holding her back. So she's going to be fucking dangerous. And like I said earlier, that look between Jaime and her was him pretty much saying, oh, fuck. Yeah. I know what this means now. She's fucking batshit nuts.
The one thing that got me, too, when you were talking about Lancel, you know, chasing the little street urchin down
the little birds.
Yeah, the little birds. When he gets stabbed one time
in the spine.
He gets stabbed and he's like crawling his way, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, how are they gonna light this wildfire if the kid's running away? I was like, I thought the kid was gonna throw the torch, like something like that. And I was like, and then you see the candles and they're getting like lower and lower, and Loras is like getting closer and closer, and you're like, oh, this is amazing, like he's so close, but then you see his eyes get green and just
lit up later.
Explosion. Yeah,
I
thought that was...
Yeah, fuck that guy anyways. Lancel's a shithead. I mean, yeah, remember, he slept with his sister. He helped kill Robert. Yeah, he was way more fleshed out in the books than he was here. I mean, here he pretty much disappeared after season 1, then showed up again when the Faith was brought into it. But yeah, fuck him. I mean, he's a Lannister anyways. Fuck the Lannisters. I really do hate the Lannisters. I like Jaime Lannister in the book. I don't like him as much in the show, but I do think now after the finale, he's probably going to become more like the Jaime in the book, which is he's much more disenfranchised from his sister. Really just the politics of the game, King's Landing, everything. Like you just tell he's kind of over it all. So maybe he'll get there. But yeah, Cersei, man, what a fucking pimp. What a pimp. I mean, do you think she knew it would potentially result in Tommen killing himself.
I don't know if she thought that much,
Right.
but she had to have known with the prophecy from the Woods Witch that, two of her children are dead. The prophecy said three of them were going to die. She had to know Tommen was probably going to go. Right. Now, I don't know if she thought he would kill himself, but obviously
or that she would
didn't
directly cause him to kill himself.
Right. So she kept him safe at first by having the mountain stand at his door and not let him out, but inevitably led to him jumping out the window because his wife's dead, hundreds of his followers are dead. Like,
that was another one I saw. As soon as I saw him look out the window, take his crown off, then disappear out of frame, I'm like, here he goes. And sure enough, you just see him come running out. Woo!
And that clip lasted, that shot lasted long enough to her like, what's going on? And I had to check like my HBO Go app that I was watching. It's like, did it just freeze on me? And I didn't realize it because it was such an extended scene before you actually see him climb in the window. Doesn't think twice, climbs up and just face first. Yeah,
it's a shot that, and I read a bunch of people that wrote about it. It kind of mirrors Bran's fall in season 1.
Yeah.
So Cersei causes her son's death. Jaime causes Bran's, whatever you want to call him. Was he a paraplegic?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a nice kind of echo back. But yeah, the opening segment was just. It kind of just smacked you like, all right, here we go, season 6 finale. We just lost most of the main cast. Bye. All right, what's going to happen next? What's going to go down with Jon and really Dany's threads? Because those are at this point, we're left with King's Landing thread, the North thread, Dany. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's pretty much all starting to condense.
Yeah, it's really it's gone from
Westeros.
Even in this season we had the Dany Tyrion thread, we had the Jon Snow Sansa, we had the Boltons, we had the Lannisters, the Freys, Riverrun, Arya on her own, but they're all slowly coming back, and they're all headed back towards Westeros as we found out at the end of season 6. So moving on.
Go ahead. Speaking of Arya, real quick, did you predict that?
No. All I said, and I looked at my wife, as like, and this was during the scene where Walder was talking to Jaime, and they kept focusing on that handmaiden or wench or whatever you want to call her. I was like, it's kind of curious that they keep hitting this background actress in these shots, actually giving her fucking full-on frame. And then when she shows up to Walder, I'm like, all right, who is this girl? Is this is this someone hired by some family? No clue it was Arya. I mean, I was thinking maybe somehow someone hired her to knock out Walder, but by no means did I ever think she'd pull her face off and there's Arya. I mean, that was
because I honestly didn't expect to see Arya in the finale.
Well, yeah,
with her exit from the House of Black and White, I was like, okay, that's actually a solid stopping point for her this season.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting her back in Westeros so soon.
But I'm glad they did it. I thought it was perfect. It kind of gets her back on track, because even we were talking at the halfway cast, Arya's thread, honestly, since she's been in Bravos or whatever, has been very mundane on the show. Boring. It's boring in the books. I'm not gonna lie. So the fact that pretty much right after that episode 2 after, they're like, okay, well, she's going back to Westeros. She's fucking broke the rules. We kind of speculate on would Arya break it, and I think we were all like, yeah, probably, but we didn't know how or if she'd survive. We know all that now. She's back, and she is putting her Faceless Men training to use very effectively. Who's next for her, do you think?
So is she... Do you think she's got the okay to do this, or is she like,
Well, you saw at the end, and again, who knows what the book's going to tell me, but she pretty much goes to Jaqen, like, listen, motherfucker, you guys tried to kill me, I bested him, the god gets the body, fuck you, I'm out. I'm Arya Stark. And it seemed to me like his smile was like, yep, she knows who she is. And there we go.
Yeah, but he also gave her the "a girl is finally no one" kind of thing. And then that's when she's like, no, I'm Arya Stark. So I don't know to take that, like, is she finished? Like, obviously she's moved on from, assassin internship, but is she part of the Faceless Men, like, officially?
No.
Or is she just off, or she's just like, she's taking what she learned
Yes.
and doing it on her own.
And deep down, I always felt like, and I think we discussed that too, when she was making her way over there to be trained, I always felt like it was to be trained so she could go back to Westeros one day and knock off everyone on her list. Because this is something the show didn't put much focus on the past couple years. But in the book, I mean, every time there's an Arya chapter, it usually starts or ends with her reciting names in her head of people she wants to murder. You know, Cersei was on there. Walder was on there. The fucking knight she killed last year was on there. The Hound was on there. I mean, so who's next? I watched a behind the scenes video, and the reason why she said she went after Walder Frey is because obviously she hasn't been around. And by the way, Nick, you're right on timing. I think it's probably been about 4 or 5 years on the show. I know we were kind of talking, it might have been like a year or two, but I think at least in the show, this whole saga has been going on for 4, 5, 6 years probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she's came back to Westeros. Shit has changed greatly, right? I mean, the landscape has changed even since when she left to go over to train. So she didn't really know what the fuck's going on, but she knows for sure that Walder Frey is going to be at the Twins. So that's why she went there first. So who knows where she goes next? Is she going to head north, head to Winterfell? Is she going to go to River Run? Is she just going to go right to fucking King's Landing after she finds out Cersei's queen and try to kill her? Who knows? That's the fun part of having Arya back. I mean, she's a player again.
Yeah, and going back to Walder Frey real quick, I really enjoyed that interaction between him and Jaime at the feast. And Jaime just like, he's like, if we have to ride north every time you guys lose the Riverlands, what good are you? Like, why do we need you?
I mean,
like,
Jaime was disgusted at
people
this
don't
guy.
fear. Yeah, people don't fear the Freys. They fear the Lannisters, who are allies with the Freys. And Jaime's like, what do we need you for? Remind me again.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I mean,
yeah.
Walder, all the Freys, they're idiots. I mean, they're done. I mean, Arya wiped out the lead guy and his 2 heirs, so who knows what's going to happen there. You know,
Well, and he's got so many sons, like, the process for who
Right.
succeeds him is going to be insane.
right? I mean, at this point, honestly, I think the Freys are going to be pretty much written out of the story. I
Yeah.
don't really see the family coming into the next 2 seasons. I really think we're going to start laser focusing on the main plots here, which to me are still who ultimately gets the Iron Throne. And oh yeah, by the way, the Night King's coming, you fucking idiots. So it doesn't matter about your house or this lord or that lady. These fuckers in an army of undead are coming to eat us all alive. So let's get our shit together and unite and attack. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really
and
all
that's
that's left. I mean, those are the main things. Who's going to get the throne, and what are they going to do about the White Walkers?
Yeah, and that's what Melisandre asked Jon with that whole interaction with Sir Davos after he finds out what she did to Shireen. It's like, she's like basically pleading for her job. Like, Jon, you know what's coming. You need me. I can help you.
Yeah, she's
And
like,
he's
yo, I made some wrong fucking decisions, but
Yeah.
I obviously am tuned in to this Lord of Light. I mean, shit, he fucking brought you back to life through me. She's done other magic shit. I mean, hell, she's like fucking 900 years old.
Yeah.
And she looks like a hot babe. So, yeah, you know, I didn't know what to think about that. I think Jon handled it the only way he could. You know, he's got to be political. He couldn't really just execute the woman that brought him back to life, and did give everyone some somewhat valuable information and foresight. But he couldn't just let it go because Davos has essentially become, you know, kind of his right-hand supporter, so he couldn't piss him off. So exiling her is really the only thing he could do. So where do you think Melisandre goes from here? I don't think she's gone. I mean, does she run into the Brotherhood of Banners and finds Rhoros Amir, the Red Priest who's brought Dondarrion back so many times? Will she run into Arya maybe? Because I think she's on Arya's death list. Who knows? I mean, what's Melisandre's role moving forward? Because I don't think she's just done. I mean, she's been too key of a background player to just disappear.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think she meets up with the Brotherhood. I don't know, like, what happens from there, but I think that's who she meets up with and kind of continues her story wherever they're headed.
Well, yeah, because we did learn the Brotherhood, they said straight up, their fight is against the White Walkers. I mean, that's what they told
Right.
the Hound. They're like, yeah, fuck all these idiots. Basically, anyone in the South, they have no clue what the fuck's about to come. So
Right.
we're going north. You want to come or not? Because that's where the battle is.
Yeah, and I was a little sad we didn't get to see the Hound this week. A little sad, but
We did get him.
know-
I mean, we did get him back. And
Yeah.
I mean, some of the major fan theories are probably discredited now. I mean, there's probably not going to be a Clegane Bowl unless somehow Sandor ends up in King's Landing. But I honestly think he's going to stick with the Brotherhood and fight against the White Walkers. But he came back, and he came back perfectly. I mean, I loved his introduction, and then I loved the follow-up episode where he just fucking grabs that hand axe. I've watched that scene probably 5 times where he just stumbles upon those dudes. The first guy, without flinching, whoom, there goes your head. Second guy just stares at him. Here's an axe in your chest. The other guy gets another axe to the face. Another dude gets disemboweled, and then an axe to the head. And he did it without flinching. I mean, I do love the Hound. I think he's an even better character now, because I think his time with that Septum kind of helped. I wouldn't say chill him out, maybe give him a little more perspective on things. But his story's not done yet. Obviously, they wouldn't have showed the Brotherhood or the Hound this season if they didn't plan on doing something with their threads moving forward. So I'm with you. I don't know if Melisandre's going to end up with him. She might. She is headed south, like Jon told her. She's not allowed in the north. So maybe she becomes Queen Cersei's supporter and gets Cersei into the, hey, by the way, fuck all these people. You've got the Night King coming, and he's going to kick all our asses.
and then Cersei will be the princess that was promised, and blah blah blah.
So yeah, I mean, I've liked Melisandre. She's an interesting character to me because she kind of brings the fantasy aspect of the Game of Thrones universe to life. I mean, because she does, we do know she has powers, and these people that believe in the Lord of Light do have fucking powers. It's not just hocus pocus. Dondarrion's been brought back numerous times. In the books, Rhoyrar Samir, he brings back Catelyn Stark, Lady Stoneheart. So, I mean, these people do have fucking magic, whatever you want to call it.
Well, and that's one theory I was reading after the final episode was that since, at least at this point, it's probably unlikely now that Lady Stoneheart makes an appearance in the show, is that Melisandre kind of fills that role to an extent.
Got ya.
But again, that's theory and
I don't
fan speculation.
I mean, if they didn't bring
knows,
Stoneheart out these past 2 episodes, I'm pretty sure that book character isn't making it.
Yeah, it's and as it's always been with the books, there's so many more characters that don't even get mentioned in the show that sometimes they take multiple characters and kind of blend them together as
totally.
one just for the sake and everything like that. So, but it'll be interesting to see where Melisandre ends up. And if she ends up making it to the end of the battle alive, or if she takes the necklace off and says, "The gods are done with me. I'm ready to."
It just
to go.
withers away. It did sound like she kind of wants to die. I mean, she more or less said, like, yeah, I've been looking or alive for longer than this, that, or the other thing. So who knows? All right, the other major stuff. I'm going to save the Jon shit for last, obviously. So let's go into Dany and what we saw from her. So really the main thing we got from her thread was she's not bringing her sex toy with her, Daario. Again, the show didn't really do a great job of showing their dynamic. I mean, the books, they're fuck buddies. I mean, she marries the Hizdahr Lorak guy, and she's still banging Daario in her bed. I mean, you could tell she loves Daario as like a man toy, but she doesn't really ever see him as being a kingly type. And she has learned over the years, and we got to remember, when we first met Dany, she was essentially a sex slave sold to the Dothraki by her brother to buy an army of Dothraki to try and go back and get the crown for himself. And now, 6 years later, she's gone on this journey from weak little sex toy. I mean, go back and watch first season of Game of Thrones. If you look at a character of Daenerys, I mean, she's like a meek little flower. Very dainty, getting rammed by Khal Drogo, getting tore up. I mean, just very dainty. Then she comes out of the fire with her dragons. She wanders through the desert with the people that stick with her. She shows up to this one city. They try to trick her. She fucks them there with her dragons. She gets more people. She takes over Yunkai, Astapor. and then she decides, you know what, I need to learn how to rule now. So that's why she stays in Marine. So obviously, at this point in time, Dany has learned what she needs to learn about being a ruler. Wouldn't you agree? She's ready.
I would.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
she's amassed the Dothraki horde. She has the Second Sons. She has the Unsullied. She has Theon and Yara or Asha Greyjoy's fleet. 3 dragons, the Mar fucking Tells, and now the Tyrells.
Yeah.
All on her side, headed to Westeros as we leave her in the finale.
One of the things that got me going back to Daria when she was, essentially like, breaking up with him, she said marriage, she couldn't take him with him because she couldn't marry him to form anything worthy. You know what I mean? There was no alliance she could have with him.
Right.
That would help her claim her army. So she says something to the effect of, I'm going to marry someone because it'll be good for an alliance. And then she goes, or maybe I won't marry anyone at all. And I was like, come on, like you're just like a woman. You can't make up your mind. Like,
well, I mean,
but it was, I think it was obviously a tough thing because he obviously cared for her. He didn't care about anything else.
Oh, no. He deeply loves Daenerys.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. The show never, I mean, yeah, sure. They showed him in bed once or twice a few seasons back. But again, the books loves her. I mean, loves her to death. She is his queen, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about riches, lands, titles, nothing. He just loves her breasts that hang out. Because they do in the book. Again, her dress in the book, she literally has a titty hanging out at all times. Fantastic. So, yeah, we didn't learn much from Dany's shit outside of, she made Tyrion the Hand. Who saw that coming? I mean, come on. Yeah, obviously. He's a fucking pimp. He's great at advice. I did love their conversation with each other because for the first time, I feel like Tyrion actually believes in something or believes in someone and not just, this is just how life is. I mean, I think he really, truly believes Dany is it. I mean, he's seen her miracles now. He's heard about her coming out of fire. He's seen her on the dragons. He's seen her take care of the fucking wise masters. So he has a deep level of respect for her, unlike I think he has had for any other lord or lady of Westeros. And he's fucking great. I mean, he's one of the top game players out there. I mean, it's Tyrion, Varys, Peter, Cersei. Bam. That's your top 4. That is your Mount Rushmore of Game of Thrones game players, in my opinion. I guess we need one more. No, 4, right? How many fucking faces are on Mount Rushmore?
There's 4.
All right. There you go. I know what I'm talking about a little bit. Something like that. So, yeah, we know Tyrion's hand, and we know she is on her way. I love that shot at the end where you get to see the size of her fleet. They painted the sails black with the House Targaryen sigil on it. You had Drogon and his 2 wingmen dipping their wings in the water, flying around. So, badass shit. Now, as far as where we think they're going to go, do you think she's going to make it all the way to Westeros unimpeded? Or do you think Euron Greyjoy is going to show up and try to fuck them up?
Well, that's what I was wondering. So Euron's busy trying to build 1,000 ships.
Let's say they're probably done, because like you said, and I think you're right. I think literally we traveled at least a year this season, if not more.
Right.
From start to finish.
So let's say his ships are done and he's set sail because nobody notified him that Dany left Marine. I'm hoping for an oceanic
like a naval battle, right?
Yeah. I want to see the dragons breathing fire left and right like they did against the slave ships. I just want to see Dany just stand there and be like, "All right, Dracarys, go do your thing, guys, go for it," right. and then just be done with Euron, and say move on.
Yeah, I mean he's got to come back into the fold. There's no way they just introduce this character, give him an episode, make him king of the Iron Islands, and then he just disappears. And I'm with you. I'm hoping it's a sea battle. But here's the thing. Game of Thrones has a very distinct formula for its seasons and the episodes. It almost always, if not always, the 9th episode is when you're going to get that season's major battle. Mm-hmm. This year we had Battle of the Bastards. I think last year was Hardhome. The year before that was the Battle for the Wall. The Battle of Blackwater. Always typically the penultimate episode. So I don't think they're going to have Dany's thread next season all be at sea. I think she's either going to be fucking landing at Westeros episode 1 of season 7, or we're going to get that battle, but I don't think it's going to be what we want to see if they do it. I just, budget-wise, formula-wise, I don't think they're going to give us some fantastical battle that early on in season 7.
No, because that's not a major battle point. You know, like you mentioned earlier, the big one is obviously, you know, the Night King, and then the other is the battle for the Iron Throne once Dany does actually
Which one
get
do you think
to Westeros.
takes place first? Do you think she goes right for the Iron Throne, or do you think someone gets to her and be like, yo, by the way, this shit's way more important than fucking Cersei's cunty ass?
In my head, I always thought that the battle with the Night's King would be the final big battle.
So you think
But
all the bullshit with the Game of Thrones might be resolved before the showdown?
that's kind of how I've always pictured it in my head. But if Game of Thrones has taught me anything, it's to expect the unexpected.
Right. I just
So
want like 10 more
I would-
seasons, but I think they're pretty much 2 shortened seasons, right, left that are on the books.
Yeah, I think there's 13 episodes, so I don't know how they're splitting it up.
That
or if they're
fucking
gonna do
sucks.
one season of 13 or what.
Fucking sucks.
Well, here's a quick tangent question for you. I would not be surprised if there's a Game of Thrones spinoff, right?
Okay.
Who would you most like to see in a spinoff? I've got 2 that I'd be really excited for, but I want to hear if
Now, we
Here's
talking
your
would the
other
spinoff take place after the events of A Song in Ice and Fire, or concurrently, before, a prequel?
let's say after. Let's say the Night King has been defeated. Somebody has claimed the throne. Westeros is at peace.
I already have my dream show. Tormund, Giant's Bane, and Brienne of Tarth, like a fucking
Yes.
cop team. They just hang
All
out,
right.
or they're like the odd couple, you know, weird lovers.
That's a good one. I have 2. One is Lyanna Mormont.
Oh,
wanna
fuck.
see a
How
show
could I
where
forget her? She is the best
Well,
character ever.
I didn't throw the question at you ahead of time, so you didn't have time to think it over. That her, and then I want to see Bronn and Podrick as like a
Yes.
buddy,
Yeah.
kind of funny, humorous. Like they're just traveling the world. Just Podrick's learning how to fight. Bronn's hooking up with women all over the world.
Yeah, Bronn's a way more
getting into
interesting
miscellaneous
character on
troubles.
TV. There's no doubt about it. Because
Yeah.
in the book, they pretty much write him out. He inherited
Yeah.
some lands and he's gone.
Yeah, I would love to see a spin-off show with him and Podrick just gallivanting around the world.
But no,
and
I mean,
going on
Lyanna
adventures.
Mormont, that actress just stole the season. She had 2
Oh, yeah.
scenes. She had 2 solo speeches in both scenes and fucking outacted everyone on the show, everyone's performance for the past 6 years. Although, I think Lena Headey? Cersei?
Mm-hmm.
I think her performance as Cersei in the first 20 minutes of this episode should win her an Emmy. Just
Yeah,
like
it
you
was,
said, the sipping of the wine, just her facial expressions, like "haha, I got you fuckers," and her torturing of Septa and Nella. I mean, she killed it. It was just fucking beautiful acting right there. But no joke, Lyanna Mormont, whoever the hell played her, I forget her name, some of the best child acting I have ever seen. In her speech about Jon, she just basically said, "I don't give a fuck if he's a bastard. I'm gonna follow that motherfucker till he's killed." And that's basically what she said without swearing like an uneducated idiot like myself. So before we get to the King of the North stuff, we got to talk about the tower, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's
we got
some
to.
major shit.
Brand's lone major scene of the last.
Yeah,
two
I
episodes.
was surprised that Bran was so underused after basically the whole Hodor shit, and in the finale, and B, that we saw nothing of the Night King in the finale. I mean, we haven't seen him since he ransacked the Three-Eyed Raven's tree and tried to get Bran. So I thought that was odd, but like Nick said, Bran had a very pivotal scene, one that at the halfway cast we hoped to see, we wanted to see before this season ended. We didn't want to really wait, and that was the revelation of the Tower of Joy and exactly what happened there. And what we do know now for a fact is that X plus L equals J.
Yes.
Very likely it's still R, But the way the scene was filmed, they definitely left that up in the air still. So we're talking about people, if you're just a complete Game of Thrones noob, you have no clue about the fanboy, fangirl stuff, fan theories, forever. And that's one thing you have to think about, Nick. The people that started reading this shit way back in 1996, can you imagine
20 years
the
they've been
feeling?
waiting for this.
20 years you've been speculating on this whole R plus L equals J, and you finally get it paid off, and it happens in a TV show and not the fucking book. But anyways, I'm sure they were fucking ecstatic just to get it confirmed. So, like we said, people, we now know that Jon Snow is not Ned's bastard. It is his sister's bastard, and more than likely, he is a Targaryen Stark. Fire and ice,
Yes.
people. Fire and ice, people. There we go.
So
Azor Ahai.
The logical thinking is that it is Rhaegar's son, right? That's been the theory.
All right, before you unleash this nutcase theory, I will give you credit. For some reason, nothing was on last night, so I was watching that dumbass After the Throne show on HBO. That is just awful. I mean, those people must be relatives of whoever owns HBO, because they're fucking terrible. I don't know if you like it. If you do, I'm sorry.
I haven't watched it.
Show's fucking horrible. But they brought on this Concepcion guy who's supposed to be like a Game of Thrones lore master, and he mentioned exactly what I think you're about to say. Go for it.
Yeah, and honestly, he's the guy that I first got this idea from. So like I said, the majority of fan theory is that it's Rhaegar and Lyanna equals Jon Snow. What this Jason Conception is saying or suggesting possibly is that that Jon is actually the Mad King's son, which would make him and Dany half siblings, right?
And give him a slightly stronger claim to the Iron Throne.
Right. Because basically, while it's a little on the weak side, the thinking is that Aerys basically slept with whichever woman he wanted to. And on multiple occasions, Aerys's wife lost a child before birth or just after birth. And there's another rumor regarding Tyrion, which, Matt, I'm sure you've probably heard this one, that he's also part Targaryen. And that would make sense to the effect that Tyrion's mother, Joanna, died giving birth to him, which is something that has happened to most of the Mad King's mistresses.
Yeah, see,
so
I'll give you way more credit on that one. That one I can buy into. I'm holding out on the Jon Snow, but I have let the door open a little bit on that theory. I still think it's going to be Rhaegar. I really think Rhaegar and Lyanna truly loved each other. They eloped. That's why he sent her to the Tower of the Joy to be protected by the greatest swordsman of all time, rather than have his greatest swordsman of all time with him at the Trident, so he didn't get fucking killed in hand-to-hand combat by Robert Baratheon. I mean, that's all this shit. Robert's Rebellion, everything we know, basically what we know about Westeros, it all happened because of Lyanna Stark.
Yes. This all stemmed
literally from her. and what the story is, at least in the North, or how people justified becoming rebels and causing an uprising against the Targaryen king, is that Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna, raped her, and locked her up in a tower. That's what the Starks have gone off of. That's what most of the Westeros has gone off of. That's what justified Robert's Rebellion. But I really think that Lyanna and Rhaegar, just the way, if you ever heard, how Barristan Selmy talks of Rhaegar, how he was just this amazing person, nothing like his dad. People loved him. He'd just go out in the streets and sing and play guitars and blah, blah, blah. He would have been a fantastic king. I just have a hard time hearing that from a guy that would have been with him literally from the time he was born until he died, because Barristan was head of the Kingsguard. And then he's some fucking brute rapist like Rhaegar Clegane. I mean, I really think Rhaegar and Lyanna probably liked each other, and shit had to be secretive because Lyanna was betrothed to Robert Baratheon. I mean, back then, marriages were arranged to keep families close together, to get new lands, to spread your power. And Robert's like, yo, fuck this shit. And there we go. And so Who knows? I'm hoping it's Rhaegar. I love the way they did the reveal. I mean, the whole fade right into grown-up Jon. So, I mean, there's no way you can deny that we were looking at baby Jon Snow. And I also love that they clearly muted his real name, which is not fucking Jon. No way. I mean,
so my quick question is with the Rhaegar theory, if that is the case, and that's been the biggest Game of Thrones theory since the first book was released 20 years ago, why didn't they reveal that Rhaegar was the father?
Well, because like she said Robert can't find out, he'll kill him. Because back then Robert was all about getting rid of every Targaryen, and he almost did.
Right, but Ned would have known who the father was, right?
Well, I'm sure Ned does know who the father is.
Right. So what I'm saying is, in the show, why didn't she say Rhaegar's name? Like, why didn't they confirm then in that finale that Rhaegar was the father? I think
maybe it's implied. I mean, based on what we know, they're just like, all right, she's there because Rhaegar brought her there. He either raped her, gave her a baby, or they had it consensually. So why have Ned say, is this Rhaegar's boy? You know, stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure they could have found a more smooth way to drop it out there. But to me, with Game of Thrones being Game of Thrones, that leads me to believe that, okay, there's half of that equation we confirm. The other half isn't 100% confirmed, so maybe there's something else going on there. But I'm sure we'll find out.
All we know for sure is that
point.
Jon Snow has Stark and Targaryen blood in him.
Yeah.
More than likely. I mean, he could be the prince that the Red Priestesses have talked about. That maybe that's why he was able to come back to life. Who knows? But Jon Snow still knows nothing, as Ygritte always reminded him in her fantastic little accent. So that was pretty big. I don't know if it really surprised anyone. I think it just confirmed what most of us were thinking and validated that we are somewhat intelligent when it comes to figuring out Martin's world. And a fun fact,
we've had 20 years to do it.
Yeah, and a fun fact, one of the reasons Martin let DB and David adapt Game of Thrones is because they guessed who Jon's mother was.
Right.
Without him.
That was one of the first questions he asked them when they first met with him about bringing the show onto HBO. And
I too, I never thought it was, well, I guess I always thought, yeah, maybe it could have been Ned's, but maybe he did it with someone famous, and that's why they're hiding it. I don't know. I'm not going to say, I was like, oh, yeah, I knew Lyanna was Jon's mom from day one. But I think that there are some signs that get there, especially if you read the book, that potentially her story and what happened with Rhaegar and Robert and whatnot really didn't play out the way we were told by the Men of the North and the Baratheons in history.
So I guess my next question is, or my next thought is, with Bran and his visions. So we find out who Jon's mom is, 100%. With next season, do Bran's vision continue with Jon's past? Like, is that how we find out for sure who his father is? Is through Bran's visions?
I don't think we're gonna see like baby Jon Snow, because who cares? You're talking more like pre-Lyanna even dying in birth, or maybe seeing. Well,
right,
maybe Bran goes back
to
see who took her to the tower, or maybe he just follows Lyanna for a little bit to see exactly what happened with Rhaegar and this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
Okay. You know, I guess we'd have to keep our ear to the ground, see if there's any new casting rumors for a dude that could potentially look like a Rhaegar. I mean, I would assume he'd have to have very light, almost white hair, because that's a Targaryen trait, and he'd have to be a pretty beefy, good-looking guy, based on the description of Rhaegar from the books.
Yeah.
So it's just something you'd have to look out for. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, does Bran need to go back in the past, or does, now that he knows Jon's legit, does he just try to get his message to Jon as quickly as possible? Does he try to get the Winterfell? I mean, because we know that he's marked on his arm, which allows the Night King to kind of circumvent some of the fucking voodoo going on. So if he crosses the wall, is he technically inviting the White Walkers to cross the wall with him?
That's what I was wondering with that Uncle Benjen scene, where Benjen's like, all right, get off my horse. I'm going to leave you at this tree, and I'm going to go do my thing. Is Bran basically staying at the tree, because it's not like Mira has a way to drag him
Right.
anymore.
What I'm assuming is that is the heart tree of the Night's Watch. So they're probably a hop, skip, and a jump from Castle Black.
Okay.
I think that's where, Sam and John gave their vows, so on and so forth.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean,
that
how the
makes
fuck?
sense.
They don't even have a sled anymore. So does he just plug into his internet and she just stands there with a pike and stabs shit that comes at him? I doubt it. I don't know. He's probably going to have to cross the wall at some point, or have a man or something crafted for him, or he just wargs into an animal for good. I don't know. But yeah, I don't see Bran just laying there like a lump with his hand touching the heart tree for the rest of the show's runtime.
Right.
He's got to come into the fold and somehow let the world know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to in next season, is seeing how Bran extends his abilities from what he's learned and the mistakes he's made, and how he's
right, because
grown
he
from
still
that.
truly doesn't know how to manage what the Three-Eyed gave him, because they never fully finished their training. He doesn't really know the extent of his powers, his reach. So he'll just be kind of fumbling his way through it. So maybe he will do something in a vision that he really shouldn't do. Maybe he will reach out and touch someone, or try to talk someone, or make a king mad, or something like that, and fuck things up. Maybe he is the cause for everything. Or maybe he'll be the one to come and fucking save the day. I don't know. Bran's a wild card to me at this point. He's easily one of the most powerful characters in this world. I mean, the guy can traverse time. He can tap into the universe through a tree and can pretty much go and transport anywhere he wants to be. He can control animals. He can control people. I mean, dude's got some pretty legit fucking powers at this point. I mean, he is the all-knowing. He is the three-eyed raven. I mean, he is the biggest mystical magic power left in the world now. All the children are dead. Three-eyed's dead. Now we have new Three-Eyed, so Bran definitely is way more powerful and way more a key player than people may have given him credit for, at least on the way the show handled him, because let's face it, Season 5, they didn't fucking show him. He was gone. See ya. So he's another character that I think comes off way more detailed and important in the book than the show, but the show this season definitely kind of peeled the cover back and were like, hey, people, yeah, by the way, Bran, he's pretty fucking legit, and he's going to have a pretty huge hand in how all this wraps up, whether it be fucking it up or saving the day. Oh, man. So, fantastic finale. We forgot about Samwell.
That whole scene.
That was way out of place, dude. It's just like, by the way, fuck, remember?
It was like he was checking into a hotel room.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I'm here, reservation under Night's Watch. Oh, by the way, your records are off. And then he does that whole life is a regular thing. I was like, come on.
The only reason I think they showed that was to let us know that Sam made it to the library at the Citadel, which is going to contain documents on how the White Walkers were handled way back when.
Right. Yeah, that's got to be the only reason.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, in the book,
Yeah.
that is his main focus. I mean, he's literally sent there to learn about these motherfuckers. Because John in the book his sole focus is on the White Walkers, kind of like it is in the show. He kind of got a hard on at the end when people are calling him a king, but I still think John's main drive is to kill the Night King and not fucking worry about what the hell's going on in the South.
Yeah, exactly. And along with that, when everybody was standing up and cheering for John, you can't ignore Littlefinger in the back. He's back there kind of, doing his little...
I'm glad you brought that up.
Arms crossed, his little finger, smirk face going on. And,
were you watching Sansa's facial reactions too?
Yeah.
Because at first she's like amused.
That's like the next personal battle is Sansa versus Littlefinger.
No. I truly think, and we talked about this at the halfway cast, I think Peter has worked her over enough and basically has shaped her vision of the world enough that he's going to use this King of the North shit to play on her again and be like, yo, look, John's getting all the credit. John's this. John's a fucking bastard, and now he's the King of the North. You should be the Lady of Winterfell. I mean, that, at the end, I think, Peter's rolling his eyes like, yeah, fucking jerk off this guy who gives a shit. I'm going after the Iron Throne. But he was also looking directly at Sansa, who started with a smile, but essentially got a very solemn look on her face like, hey, wait, why the fuck's this guy King of the North getting all the credit when I'm the one that brought the fucking veil in, that saved his ass and won the Battle of Winterfell?
By not telling Jon.
Yeah. So
well, see, I took Sansa's reaction and Littlefinger's like their eye contact. I took that to mean, like, to me, I don't think Sansa really cares whether she's a lady of, like, I don't
here's
think she
the
cares.
only reason I'm saying
because,
that, if you listen to DB and David in these Inside the Episodes, pull it up for episode 10. They literally say Jon and Sansa's relationship is still on rocky grounds and that we should watch out for Jon based on how he's handled Sansa this season.
Yeah, but then there's also the thing where her and Littlefinger were talking, and he basically reveals his intention. Well, he does reveal his intention. His goal is to get the Iron Throne. He doesn't make a single decision unless that helps his end goal of sitting on the throne. So I feel like Sansa knowing that is going to cause him some problems, but maybe he's playing her, like you're saying. So it's like, who's playing who's on top, who's on top,
Peter's
who's on top,
always playing somebody. No one's ever playing
Yeah.
Peter, unless maybe Varys does. But I still think in the end, Peter, like I said, he's top 4. He's not getting played. I think he's playing the long game on Sansa, and I honestly think those two will collude to do something to Jon, or go against Jon's wishes on something. I see it coming. And like I said, it's only because of what the showrunners have been saying all season. Like, Jon and Sansa never really had a great relationship. Sansa loved her mom so much. Remember, Caitlyn fucking hated Jon's guts because he represented Ned's infidelity. So when they were little kids, Sansa hated Jon. I mean, I would have to go back and watch season 1 when they're all together. I don't think she treated Jon very warmly, period. I mean, Jon was treated like a bastard. He wasn't allowed to sit with the family, this, that, and the other thing. And even now, this season, when they came back, she still didn't fully trust Jon. She didn't tell Jon about Peter. She didn't tell Jon about her letter to Peter to bring in the Knights. So that distrust, all that shit, there's definitely something there between the two. And like I said, at the end, now she's going, okay, I do all this. I win the fucking war for him. But lo and behold, the fucking bastard of the North is getting all the credit and the love and yada, yada, yada. So who knows? Peter's not done yet. I mean, now that we know that Jon potentially has a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne, that will definitely bring Peter into play even more with Jon's thread and how it plays out. Because obviously he's a threat to Peter if Peter wants the Iron Throne, and Jon could be a Targaryen and have a claim to it. I don't know. We'll find it out. Hopefully season 7, season 8. We don't need to watch 6 again. It just finished. But I'm looking forward to it. I really have no clue where things are going from here. I don't. I mean,
all we know is that, like Sansa said, winter is here.
Yeah.
Finally.
Do you think we'll see Jon and Dany cross paths next season, or is that potentially the last season? Do you think they even have a reason to cross paths? I mean, they could be family members. She could be his aunt. They could be brother and sister.
I feel like at some point their paths have to cross.
I mean, is he the Song of Ice and Fire, or is he the ice, she's the fire part? I mean, where does that title come from? It comes from somewhere. I mean, to me, it's always meant, like, I always thought ice was the White Walkers, fire was the Lord of Light. Like, those were the two main mystical beings, and really the overall conflict in Westeros, not the petty Game of Thrones bullshit amongst regular men. But maybe Jon, maybe he's the song, because he technically could be made of ice and fire. Who knows? Maybe he has fire abilities like his potential aunt or sister. Maybe that'll come into play. Someone will try to melt him, or he'll be in a big fire ring with the White Walkers trying to burn him down, and he's like, fuck, I'm going to sacrifice myself, but then he doesn't burn. I don't know.
Or he can be a dragon whisperer and not even know it yet.
Exactly. I feel like Dany and Jon, to me, are the biggest contenders to be the hero in the end.
Yeah.
Right
well,
now.
and that's how the whole show and the books too have kind of been leading up to. 'Cause if you think about it,
Which, based on Martin, probably means he's going to pull the rug out from at least one of them and punch us in the face. Be like, yeah, just
You're
kidding.
probably right.
You thought Dany was going to be the winner in the end. Nah, I fucking killed her.
she dies in like the first episode next season. Like,
She'll get fucking stabbed in the back by Tyrion or something. It's like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, who knows? I just think it's almost too obvious that they are the ones that potentially could be the winner in the end, that Martin probably has some fucking crazy thing cooked up. But who knows? Maybe we'll wrap it up there.
Maybe somehow, some way, little Lyanna Mormont becomes the Queen of the Iron Throne. Maybe just throwing that out there.
I mean,
don't know.
honestly, if Jon was a real man, he should have been like, hold on. Fuck the king in the north. You are the queen in the north. I relinquish my title. You, the Mormonts are the warden of the north now. You can have fucking Winterfell because you are a badass little one.
Can you picture Jon and Dany as a couple?
Yeah, because they're both fucking midget actors. I mean, I feel bad for Kit Harington.
Did you notice those close-ups with him and Sansa talking? So
dude, it's ridiculous.
Get too much of the height
No,
difference.
it's ridiculous. I mean, and I'm a very short man myself, so I'm not knocking Kit Harington. But I mean, Kit Harington probably is 5'6".
Yeah.
Probably 5. I mean, he's Tom Cruise. I mean, Tom Cruise, fantastic actor, badass on film. But a lot of trickery and cinematography is used to make him look of normal size or above average height for a male. But with Jon and Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, they couldn't hide it. I mean, Sophie Turner is damn near almost 6 foot at this point in time. She is big. I mean, she's taller than fucking the dude that plays Peter Baelish. I mean, she is a very tall, striking, young, redheaded woman. So it's always funny seeing those two stand next to each other. But
yeah,
short dudes for life. I'm with you guys. Trust me. not knocking on short guys. Fuck tall dudes. All right, Nick. So let's kind of round this thing up. I think going into next season, maybe we'll just say what do we like to see. So go ahead. What's one or two things you'd like to see next season?
I want to see more dragons, obviously. And now that they're all three of them are free and flying around, I think we'll see that. Hopefully HBO expanded Game of Thrones budget for all the CGI they're going to need. The Cersei and Jaime connection is huge. As you mentioned, Cersei's the queen. Her and Jaime kind of had that moment when she sat on the throne. He comes back from River Run. It's like, what is going on? Why is the Baylor smoking? Why are all my kids dead? But I think it's like you said, he's realizing that she's crazy. And I'm really curious to see if he ends up being the one to end it. Because at least for the past few seasons, I've always thought that Jaime and Cersei would die together or at the same time because they've done just literally everything else together. I thought that they might both die or whatever at the same time. But with the turn of events in the season finale, with the prophecy of Cersei, it might be Jaime that says, you know what, this is enough. This is where I draw the line. I've done some dishonorable things. Let me do something to try and make up for it. And that might be.
No, I'm with
Cersei.
you, dude. I said earlier, and I'm gonna put it out again. We can revisit this if it happens, and I'll either be made to look like a genius or a fool. But he is going to add Queenslayer to his titles. I really think he's going to be the one that takes out Cersei. It might be during the final conflict. It might be early on when she's just gone apeshit crazy and she's trying to blow more shit up. I don't know. But I'm with you. I think he's going to take out his sister. It seems poetic.
Yeah.
And in the books, he does, like you said, he does feel like a man that is trying to redeem his past. And we saw it a little bit when he saw Brienne again, because Brienne's still very special to him. She's kind of the one that made him realize that he's a fucking piece of shit and he could be a better version of himself. So, yeah, I do think Jaime will eventually redeem himself. Probably never in the Stark's eyes because he's such a cocksucker to them. Really, led to Ned's death and the death of pretty much the rest of them. So, yeah, the good ones. Me, I'm going with, I hope it ends up being a normal length season. I know that's not going to happen, so that's a cop-out. I want to see Dany's arrival. I just want to see how that goes down. Either if it's a skirmish in the water with Euron first, or she gets there, or if we just see her fucking rolling right up into the Blackwater Bay at King's Landing, and she just opens fucking hell on King's Landing, or if she's gonna land maybe further to the north to try to get more houses behind her and then take on the Lannisters. Because really, at this point in time, it's the world against the Lannisters, right?
Pretty much, and the Lannisters, who used to be incredibly
gone.
rich, are now
Jaime
incredibly
and Cersei.
broken.
Yeah, it's like Jaime and Cersei and Tyrion, if he truly is a full Lannister, they're the only Lannisters left. I mean, Kevin was killed in the Sept. That's it. Lancel's dead.
Lancel's dead.
I mean,
yeah.
There's probably going to be miscellaneous Lannisters out there that we've never heard about on the show. So at this point in time, it's pretty much the world versus Cersei. So the world, I'm talking Dany, Tyrells, Martells.
Probably even throw the Starks in there at some point, I would think.
That they're the wild card, because is Jon going to solely focus on King of the North and taking on the White Walkers, or is he somehow going to get roped into the nonsense in the South? Maybe once they find out that Cersei is the Queen Mom, or really just the Queen, the first ever Queen of Westeros, if they're like, all right, fuck this bitch, let's take her out. She fucked our whole family. Who knows? So yeah, I want to see Dany's arrival on Westeros, either how mundane or glorious it is. Because she's been built up as the one with the most legit claim to the throne, the one that had to go through the most shit to get to where she is, the one that seems to have figured out how to be a righteous and justice ruler, although she's starting to become more and more Targaryen-like and have almost no empathy. I mean, her treatment of the wise masters and her dragon shows you that. I mean, she isn't the innocent, sweet little girl anymore. I mean, and even when she told Tyrion, like, you know what, I love the man, but I have felt nothing leaving him. So she is more and more becoming a very stone-faced Targaryen, no emotion. I'm going to rule, do it the right way, not ruling by emotion. So who knows?
I'm going to make a prediction that Gendry comes back next season, that we see him somewhere along the final stretch.
At first, I'm like, who the fuck is he talking about? Then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's one of Robert's main bastards.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like...
I think, didn't he he joins the Brotherhood in the books, right? Doesn't he become a Brotherhood of Banners? Doesn't he join them?
I think... I don't recall if it was the Brotherhood or if it was another group. Because wasn't it the group that captured, like, him and Arya and Hot Pie, and then they, like, end up being, like, friends with him or whatever, and then they let him go kind of thing?
Well, the Brotherhood are the ones that capture him.
Okay. All right. I'm getting confused with something else then. But, yeah, I got this feeling that Gendry's going to make a reappearance in the show. I mean, Benjen Stark waited 5 seasons and came back, so...
I'm trying to think, because I think in the books, Melisandre gets a hold of him and flies him the Dragonstone with the hopes of potentially burning him because he has king's blood.
Well, it doesn't...
And then Davos sends him away, I believe.
Right. Davos sends him away, so basically...
But we didn't get any of that in the show. I mean, he's been almost
he's
written off
just been
in the
rowing.
show.
He's just been rowing.
Yeah, who the fuck knows what he did on the show? I mean, really, I can't remember the last season. Season 3, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah, so... There we go. Nick's taking one to the bank, too. We can come back and revisit if it happens. So that's it, people. Just wanted to say Game of Thrones Season 6, 2 thumbs up. I absolutely loved it. I think a lot of my love for it stems from the fact that, like most TV viewers, I had no preconceived notion of what was going to play out. So I was seeing everything happen for the first time, and I loved most of it. But I just thought that the pace of this season was so much different than the previous 5 seasons.
Much faster.
Oh, yeah. It feels like everyone's just like, all right, motherfuckers, we're rounding home. Punch
Varys
out these
is teleporting
threads.
everywhere.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it. We're just going to blow up half the main characters right at the start of this finale episode. We'll move on past that. Cersei's queen. Dany's headed back to Westeros. Jon's king of the north. The fucking pieces are on the board. Let's do it. So, I love the pace of this season. Can't wait for the next season. I really hope Martin gets goddamn the Winds of Winter out now before season 7 comes. Please? Seriously? I mean,
only hope.
It was supposed to be out in 2011, I believe. He missed hard deadlines this season or this past year. Come on, George. get off your high horse. We all love you. Your creation's great. I know it took a long time for most of the world to figure out that your creation's awesome, but you need to fucking finish it before you die and before the fucking show spoils everything that you had planned for it. So, Wind's a Winner. Please be out in 2017, please, because we're probably never going to get book 7 from him. I believe he will be dead before the last book actually drops. So, a long wait, Nick, my friend. It's been real. We'll have to do this more often in season 7, I have a feeling, because you and I just went for an hour and 15 minutes, and we probably could keep going, but I have a crying baby, my balls are sweaty, and I need to end this thing right now. So,
works for me.
Peace be with you. What's our saying in Westeros? Any good sayings in Westeros?
Go to entertainmentbuddha.com. I think that's
all right. Yeah, that works.
House Haywood.
There you go. Yeah, because it makes you a better geek, one post at a time. All right, everyone. Until next year, Game of Thrones is being put to bed.